Most of us think of heaven as a place. Common dictionary definitions refer to it as the house of God. When references are made to the heavens, the first thing that might come to mind is where the stars, the sun, and the moon reside. How often have you noticed people looking or pointing up at the sky when they refer to heaven? Much of this is a product of what we've been conditioned to perceive since the beginning of this incarnation, and perhaps since the beginning of several incarnations ago. If one ascribes to a Judeo Christian religion, heaven is often perceived as a place one enters after physical death if and only if they're deemed worthy by God. Hence, we often equate judgment with heaven themed fables such as St. Peter standing at the gates of heaven with a book that contains the names and life reviews of those waiting at the gate. The gates are often depicted in the sky above the clouds, and they're adorned with harp-wielding angels. If one succumbs to this characterization of heaven, we can extrapolate a few things about them. First, they uphold the notion that life in this realm is finite. Second, they uphold the existence of an external authority figure, i.e., God. Third, they've given power to the external authority figure to make decisions about their fate in their afterlife. Fourth, that there exists an antithesis to heaven, i.e., hell. And fifth, the antithesis of heaven is a possible outcome with respect to their fate in the afterlife. So, with that said, it's a pretty grim reality. Can you imagine going through life thinking your fate is subject to a decision made by an external authority figure you have no influence over? One that you have to constantly worship, appease, pray to, answer to, and be afraid of not failing? As the ministers in decorated robes standing at the altars in houses of worship constantly assure you that your lapses are forgiven, but the judgment rests with an authority that stands higher than them. How incredibly reassuring, right? If you're at a juncture in your spirit life journey where you've claimed your divinity and are able to see the lack of virtue in succumbing to an external authority to shape and define your relationship with higher worlds, you're also well aware you are the bridge to higher worlds. You and only you stand at the beginning of and at every stopping point in your journey. This is not to undermine the role of a collective consciousness, but we have to understand that a collective consciousness stands on the periphery and not at the center. Let me explain. The truth is in plain sight. Look at this map of the center of the physical earth realm. Below the center lies the black sun. The black sun is the center and the source of creation. It's where our consciousness resides. It's the dark void where your intent is manifested. Everything else sits at the periphery. You create your reality, hence your journey, hence the bridge to higher worlds from and within this void. The collective consciousness is at the periphery. The four rivers that feed the center are feeding the center from the periphery, but in no way defining what that center is. In our spoken and written word, heaven is commonly referred to as the house or abode of God. If we are our own gods and stand at the crux of the creation of our own realities, the house of God is our house. We built it with our intent. This house is the closest we can get to our Creator which is us. The void is where creation begins. The popularly held notion that heaven is a place one ascends to after they leave their physical earth realm life becomes misleading once we claim our own divinity and realize we are our own gods. Earth is not exclusive to heaven, and neither is heaven exclusive to earth. Both are manifestations of our consciousness and are created from within the void. I intend to bring forth heaven on earth for the benefit of all. Many of us have shed our blood on these words and have claimed our divinity through this act. These words stand out. Heaven on earth. We need to give special attention to these words because they contain the key to understanding how heaven is created. If we are bringing forth heaven on earth, we are bringing the house of God to where we currently are. This can be a euphemism for our divinity enabling us to build the house of God, which is our own house in this reality. What this translates to is the physical earth realm is very, very dynamic. And it's a blank piece of paper for us to write the story of heaven on, which is really our life story in essence. Organic portals who are not living souls will choose to write their life story as a linear process that includes biological death and reincarnation. As living souls, we need not write that life story. Your higher self would have told you to write that linear life story if it felt you needed to go through this process again. If you do, chances are you're not going to be the one viewing this video, or if you are, this will be invisible to you. You might be asking about the Garden of Eden, Shambhala, Agartha, Asgard, Hyperborea, or any other referent you choose to describe the land at the center of the physical earth realm. Is that heaven, or is it the gateway to heaven? Your higher self will lead you to the answer to that question. Remember, the power of manifestation rests in your hands. If the lens through which you view your reality and direct your energies to manifest commands a paradise at the center of the flat earth realm, who am I to tell you whether it does or does not exist? That answer lies within you. If you believe an external force is going to whisk you away to paradise, a paradise that you have not built, this is a good time to begin asking some important questions about how you've come to that conclusion. Heaven is not a single static place that is not accessible to you in this current reality. Heaven is a place that you have to build. It is a consciousness that represents a juncture in your journey where you've developed a symbiosis with that void from which creation begins. Once that symbiosis is developed, your conscious ability to manifest heaven becomes sanctified. That's all for now. Be well, sun gaze, and reject fear.